Check. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us until this afternoon. We are going to continue the presentation from several speakers. We schedule Professor Dwi as the moderator, but she cannot join with us today because she is sick right now. And the presentation, the session will be moderated by Professor Amy Roslinda. Therefore, I would like to invite Professor Amy to moderate this afternoon session. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ari. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to session second of today's workshop on forest management. Allow me to introduce myself, Amy Roslinda. I changed Miss Dwi Astiani because she is sick now, and I will be moderating this session. After this morning session on governance and community rights, we will now focus on forest and peatland management aspects. Okay, this session is crucial, I think, as we will hear directly from field practitioners about various challenges and solutions in sustainable peatland forest management. In this session, we will hear 6 presentations from various organizations with direct field experience, ranging from watershed protection effort, landscape approach, to biodiversity monitoring. Each presentation is 30 minutes, and we will conclude with a panel discussion. Okay, let us begin the session. Our first presentation will be delivered by Mr. Rudy Schaff from Warsi, who will share experience on watershed protections efforts in the Batanghari River Basin. Mr. Rudy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah. For the first, I apologize for my English. Jan, if you not understand, please interrupt. Ya. Biasanya ngomong Jambi melulu. Oke, selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, I'm not talk about peat, but I'm talk about the Batanghari River Basin. The river is in central Sumatra. The area is in the upland in West Sumatra and other in Jambi province. And we now already look the Senyar, cyclone Senyar in Sumatra, and I will talk about if in the Batanghari River Basin have the accident same like 3 provinces, maybe people got a very hard disaster if we compare. But yeah, I will talk about the strengthening local wisdom and CBFM in this area. That's overview about the Batanghari. It's a very big area, 4.4 million hectares, and more people, around 7 million people, depend on the watershed and have around 158 20,000 hectares rice field and others. Yeah, and we look the photo. It is the area is the upland area. Yeah, in the top is a looking good village with a good management under the local wisdom, but in the behind is it's a flood in one other village. That is a compare so different. And local wisdom is already exists, mostly in the upland area. In the lowland is quite different. If the customary people still have the zonation in village level, like a steep area, they protect the forest or they only plant the agroforest. In the wet for the rice field and other like that. And for other example is like dairy hose. Yeah, the traditional hose is prepare if sometimes water level growing up, and after that back again. Why? All the people around the Batanghari River not talk when the flooding accident, they didn't talk is a disaster. They only talk is a water level growing up. And all of the houses already have a small boat. They use a small boat to change for their motorcycle when the flooding. It's a no disaster. But it's a different with the cyclone Senyar accident. Yeah? Usually the flooding in Batanghari area only water level up and down. But if we look the three province is about the landslide and other. Yeah, based on CBFM regulation, now we have a regulation is social forestry, and we already facilitate the community around 218,000 hectares for under the social forestry with the three schemes: customary forest, village forest, and community forest. Yeah, and mostly in the upland area, the customary forest or the village forest for the community, that's the protected area, not for the exploit the forest. But the problem is the CBFM under the social forestry already got the license from the government. Now it's a very limited, 200,000 hectares is a limited if we compare with the 4.4 million hectare the Batanghari River Basin. Is only around 4.9%. And then we cannot hope more from the social forestry to mitigate the disaster if the cyclone happen in this place. Like I mentioned with Pak Bambang, we must increase license to the social forestry, especially for the people who already manage the forest. This is the area, the license, the red line. Yeah, is you can look this. Yeah, this is only around 5%. The red line area. The green is a forest. the, the limited forest until now is established. And the problem for the forest now is, I think, Oslan already talked more about that. Yeah, industrial plantation, mining, infrastructure expansion, under control, land conversion. Is it legal or illegal? They change the forest. If we look like that, this is for the mining, this is a plantation, and oil palm plantation. And I want to show the map. Yeah, this is the Batanghari River Basin area with the big river. This is the Batanghari, the main river of Batanghari. The secondary is from, this is the Bukit Barisan mountain. This is West Sumatra, and other is Jambi. Yeah, we can look the upland and the downstream land. And this is, the color is for the topography. And the forest existing now, only that, around 900,000 hectares. This is still existing, the Natura forest. And the other problem is, we call that is a peti. Peti is a gold illegal mining. Yeah, you can look. Yeah. They already came inside, yeah, to the forest cover area. And if we look the pattern like this is that mean the illegal mining follow the river. And in the upstream area, it's very dangerous because they broken the river. Mostly all of this forest is national park. This is a Kerinci Sebelat National Park. And that means they already came inside to the national park to make a broken the river inside the forest. And with the legal, they change for, sorry. Yeah, this is a logging concession. This is oil palm, around 1 million hectares. And this is coal mining, the change. And the other is a timber plantation. And the biggest owner is APP, only one group in Jambi. Yeah. And you can look the condition on the watershed area. Mostly already changed to the others, yeah. Yeah. And I'm back to the four problem. Yeah, this is the data. Timber plantation around 500,000 hectares. Logging concession is smaller now, only one logging concession. Oil palm plantation is around 1 million hectares. Coal mining, 248,000 hectares. And illegal gold mining, around 66,000 hectares. Yeah, it's a very bad condition. Yeah, this is the gold mining came to the part. Yeah. And the forest cover loss from 2020 until 2025, like this. Yeah, around 396,000 hectares we lost only 5 years at the end. Yeah, if we compare from 2000, it's quite big. We lost the forest in the Batanghari River Basin. Yeah. The problem, if you look, this is in the Jambi city. I think Evelyn already walking to this river. Yeah, the problem is a fragmented watershed governance because have a 2 province, 11 district cover the watershed area with different decision. If you look, this building is a very viral in Jambi because they built the building inside the river, not beside the river. It's very bad, yeah. But the regulation in the Jambi city didn't have a regulation to like people develop their houses or develop the building in the riparian of the forest. Yeah. Then the other is about spatial planning. I think they have a spatial planning, but when the people ignore the regulation, they didn't do anything. Like I think this week is a viral in media about the president revoked 22 concession, but still active in the field after revoke. Yeah, I think it's same like this. We have spatial planning, but not walking in the field. Yeah, from watershed degradation to disaster risk. This is a compare before and after. Yeah, this is after landslide, and because the mining, you can look, it's a small lake like this, because from the mining, before it's a good forest. Yeah, and the other is have a landslide like this. It's a very bad, and this is activity in the upstream to make a higher risk if the cyclone came to this place. Yeah. And I want to look other map to show in the upland area in Kerinci. Yeah. If you look this, sorry. Yeah. This is the upland. This is a Kerinci mountain area. I want to showing the other map for the Kerinci area. Yeah, this is if you look the topography, that means is a hill. This is a hill. This is a lake in the water. In the area is around 2,000 meter from the sea level. It's a highland lake, and this is the mountain. Yeah. If you look the topography like that, that means the yellow area is a valley around the hill, and this area is enclave from the Kerinci Sebelat National Park. The red line is the Kerinci Sebelat Park, and that means the people area only in this. This area is a national park. This area is a national park. And the forest now, like this. Then that means more national park like this already without the forest. They change for the horticulture, cabbage, potatoes, and others, vegetables. And the social forestry is limited. Yeah. We facilitate the community for the social forestry, not inside the forest, but to try to reforestation the hilly area. Yeah, and we can look with the 3D. You can imagine how dangerous this area is. This is a valley. This is the steep area. Yeah. You can look there. Yeah. This is a Kerinci top mountain, the higher mountain in Sumatra and Java. It's very dangerous if this place have accident like Senyar, yeah, in this place. And that how important the forest in this area. And the people have the customary right to protect the forest, but others convert the forest to other people. I mean, other people convert the forest to the mostly for the horticulture. Yeah, in the lowland area, accident like that, water level is growing up, but in the upland, like this. And this is the flooding area is, yeah, and the other is about the degraded land. Mostly in the upland area, it's with the dark, yeah. It's a what we call it. It's a critical, yeah, very critical. And I don't know you agree or not, but we think, yeah, strengthening the local wisdom ensures land and forest management, yeah, line with ecological function. Yeah, we believe that because until now still have some people do or have the traditional knowledge to manage a better forest. And the CBFM, yeah, even with the social forestry or not, or still by the traditional, is good to restoration the watershed. And yeah, we believe if the community government give more, what we call it, more effort, yeah, to them to manage their forest, it could be better than now. This is for example, it's a one village in the upland area. Yeah, this is the village. This is the hilly area. In this, the village is a between hill, and in the hilly, they are manage the forest under the customary forest, for the protected forest, and they have good water for the rice field, and they use water for the electricity. Yeah, I want to show the sorry, that's a problem. Yeah, thing like this. Yeah, this is videos about this village. You can look the steep area is, and then they use water for electricity. Yeah, this is the turbine houses. This is the turbine. Yeah, we use a modern type of turbine, not vertical but horizontal. And then they produce electricity from the turbine. It's quite good, and use electricity for the night, and for the day they use electricity to product coffee. This is a machine to roasting coffee bean. Yeah. This is showing the model in one village. For one village, the people can do like a micro spatial like this, but it's not much contribute if we talk about the Batanghari River Basin. But it's a very good for micro level in the village like this. And we believe if the have more waterfall in this place, they are still safe, because the area is quite good, yeah, under the community local wisdom management. Yeah, yeah, it's a limitation of the community action, but we must still working with the communities. If they can manage their area, even it's smaller, but can be what we call that, make a better for if we compare with more village, not only one village. Yeah, this is only like, what do you call that? Rhetoric. Yeah. But we believe if the CBFM, the government have an effort to develop CBFM in the village, the good condition can be happen in more village. And like this, yeah, this is for example, for one village, they manage their village forest to join with the plant vivo to got the carbon, that community carbon under the people, and got a fund, but not to buy a credit, to sell a credit carbon, but only they got a fund from the people who concerned about the emission. Like you, Jan, you fly from Amsterdam to Jakarta, you calculate how many carbon you produce, and then you send to this village like how many carbon you want to buy in this village under the community forest management, like that. That's a for example. Yeah, this is only showing the good village with the good local wisdom. But I believe it's a more village without, it's a different condition with this. Yeah, we're still thinking indigenous people and local communities as right holder and key actors, and then we must support them. And yeah, it's important if a national and local government aligning policies across sector, yeah, and administrative boundary for the management of river basin, because until now, is other province do other activity and other province same, is not on one management system. And yeah, including the private sector, we think, yeah, we think they can do something to support, yeah, like for example, if they got the license 100, how many they must be protect their area, to especially if their area is a catchment area or important for species and others. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we make applause from Mr. Rudy. Okay, the time is up, Mr. Rudy.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy, for the insightful presentation. Okay, next we will hear from Mr. Nur Hidayat Munir. Yes, from Sawit Watch about drivers of forest and peatland destruction and integrated area development. Mr. Nur Hidayat, please. Thank you, Mr. Rudy.
Check. Good afternoon, everyone. Please, my name is Nurayat Munir, or small can call Ari from Sawit Watch. We will to try to presentation about sharing in the Gorontalo or Powato Regency. So how to we effort from to stop expansion palm oil with strategy with social forestry and integrated area development. So memang so have many two question for other why sawit what in perhutanan sosial or social forestry why? Yeah, because it's the strategy to how to stop expansion in the forest, how to protection to and how to get together with community for the protecting area in the forest. Yes, this driver for forest peatland and destruction and integrated. So Lamun is in the Pawato is not peatland but wetland. Is peatland just 1,500 hectare in Papayato and mangrove is much mangrove from peatland. So in Pawato with perkumpulan sawit tim kerja ragam PS and Inhat we go to with Bapada in there. Next. So is introduction for me why we come to the Pawato the social forestry and IAD. So we have to look ecosystem and landscape is much to investor like mining, like HPH, crowded. Yeah, it's crowded like illegal tambak, kan? Terus have HTE, energy, this is crowded. Terus in the forest area in Pawato have 60% from the Gorontalo forest area. So why he in near Pawato? So and this condition in wetland in Pawato have the 36% mangrove in Gorontalo have the Pawato and all peatland just in Pawato Regency. Next. This is condition in Pawato is Gorontalo so is a border in North Sulawesi. So just in here peatland in Papayato and Randangan watershed area. Next is the have to collaboration with the government Pawato Regency. So we have for the increasing economy, terus have to legacy for access commodity for the forest, and we have to implement it for the forest ministry for the EID how to connect from the upstream and here atau the downstream in the one watershed area. So is the pilot in the Papayato watershed area. Next. And this how to crowd it in the Papayato area or does Papayato he have forest logging or timber and now to bioenergy and ada palm oil, mining, see all like cake. Just Gorontalo is province is new province in the Sulawesi. So is another in village like cake for the boundary. Yeah. So from upstream and downstream like cake jadi sampai until wilayah coastal area. This concept integrated area. We have to three output, which to how to we collaboration and coordination with local government. Next. This is the strategy how to we come to Pawato Regency. So because we have to any problem in the Papayato. So memang is we have to coordination. The first time we coordination with multi stakeholder, with community, with unit management forest, is Bapeda. So always start to how to we coordination before we start the activity in the Pohuato. Next is the collaboration for how to social forestry, water segment area, and integrated area development. So we have to coordination and collaboration with Pak Bambang, PSKL, dan Pasabda, PKPS have to recommended have to 15 permit how to RKPS. So we come to from permit and RKPS for the integrated area development. So in after last we came to workshop in Gorontalo for the model IAD in the Das Popayato. And from this we have to next this impact package we can mapping, terus another farming practice like for the agroforestry area, terus capacity building like training for use the GPS for the mapping and the policy advocacy. So memang is the advocacy for the how to make the sustainable development in the village. Next, is this facilitating for us like for RKPS and mapping for joining in the 15 permit. Have to protect versus protection versus utilizing is in the process for the mapping participation with the community. Next is the with coordination with KPH Gobar 12 atau unit forest management itu how to RKPS and the new social forestry. Next, and this how to get to agreement about IAD in Pohuato. Next, this agreement with Bapeda, how to we can use implemented IAD in Pohuato Regency. Next, and this information about social forestry in Pohuato, in Popayato and Randangan watershed area. In Popayato have 15 social forestry and in the Randangan have 8 social forestry. Next, this is potential about 15,641 hectare for the Pohuato Regency for the social forestry. Next, and see update from we in there 15 permit and RKPS facilitated, and now we have to 8 new social forestry, and now the update we have to vertec in 2025 and registration in 2025. Next, this is potential biodiversity with identification with KPH in the Das Popayato and Randangan. Have the flora and fauna like meranti, babi hutan, rusa, monyet hitam Sulawesi in the Das Popayato and Das Randangan. Next, yes is challenges untuk in the Popayato with IAD. The first is regional government succession, pilkada ini menjadi itu in Popayato, terus chance untuk cross sectoral, terus have the transition of food energy area dalam ini multi usaha hutan business forestry multi have to like sawit convert for the bioenergy and atau hutan tanaman energi. And this in the mangrove area is PKTAA and overlap Satgas PKTAH with Satgas PKH. Is overlap for authority how to resolution conflict in the mangrove area. Next. This intervention with we saw it in the Powato and Popayato and Randangan watershed area. Next. Terus how to next step with we work to the in Powato. Maybe is implemented area template in have 3 area with typology hillland area, mangrove area, and medium area. Okay, is the medium area in the Lomuli, is mangrove area in Milang Odaa, and the hill area in Pancakarsa and Putungale. Is next step we have to implement it in village planning. This implementation of pentahelix because in IAD we must do collaboration all stakeholder with pentahelix with government, community, academisi, business, and GSO. Terus we can have we will do development of information management at the set level. So in all the consortium in 15 village for how to make management potential and treatment area to will be to information with KPH. Next, this model IAD in the das Randangan and das Popayato. We will to protected area in here and in here. So in social forestry in here. Thus all the infestation in is mining, is sawit, is lodging and timber. So Popayato is crowded area in Popayato watershed area and Randangan area. Next. So recommended we have to social forestry strategy reduce for palm oil expansion. This integrated area have real solution in cropping oil palm expansion. Powato is national model replication for the watershed area through replication IAD through pilot project in the set level with village planning. So, this is very important because how to village to same with the company's level for the permit is technically we have to is guaranteeing legal and economic income for community stroke access to forest area stroke social forestry. I think that's from presentation from me. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Nur Jaya. Okay, very interesting about Gorontalo, yeah, from Gorontalo, the cases. Okay, our next presentation is very interesting too. We will hear from Mr. Hans Enjong from Mongabay about enforcement gaps in peatland protection in Indonesia. Okay, Mr. Hans, please.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Hans and I'm a senior staff writer for Mongabay.com. So a bit of introduction for those of you who don't know, Mongabay is an environmental news website. So we're not a campaign NGO, we're not a campaigner, but we are a news website. So we are media and we're focusing on environmental issues. So if you're interested in environmental issues, please do check out our website. I think it's amazing, and I'm not biased at all. So yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. So for today's topic, I'm going to talk about law enforcement in peatland governance. I think this is very important because when we're talking about peatland governance, this is a very crucial component, especially in the wake of the 2015 fires. As you all know, we had a huge fire season at that year, and because of that, the Indonesian government decided to implement a number of policies and actions to address the recurring fires. For example, the president at the time, Jokowi, decided to establish the Peatland Restoration Agency, BRG, and he also decided to implement a moratorium on new palm oil permits. And another thing that he decided to do is to instruct all police officers, police heads at local level to address the issue by enforcing the law on the perpetrators of fires. So that's what I'm going to talk about, the implication of the instruction from the president. So, yes, enforcement. Yes. So the implication is, unfortunately, the enforcement targets small farmers rather than big companies. Next slide, please. So to look at the scale of the enforcement, makasih. Sorry. In order to see the scale of the enforcement, we decided to look at court cases. So these are actually official documents. You can access it on the websites of local courts. Very easy to do. The reason why we decided to look at these court cases is because we kept hearing about stories about how small farmers are being convicted because they burn their lands. So that's the reason why we are interested in looking at this, to see the actual scale of the law enforcement. And as you can see, we managed to find as many as 206 court cases. So these are actually cases where small farmers are being processed by the court. And the time period is from 2014 to 2022. 2014 because that's right before the big fire in 2015, and then 2022 because that's the end of our investigation. And the investigation itself was published in 2023. So that's the time period. And then we decided to focus on Kalimantan because there's a lot of fire cases and also a lot of practices, slash and burn practices in Kalimantan. It's considered as a local knowledge, traditional practices. So that's why we decided to focus on Kalimantan, and also because we don't have the resources to look at Sumatra and other regions. And what we find is that there's a surge in enforcement after 2015. So this is what we find. So this graph, if you see the red line, that's the hotspots, the scale of the fires throughout the years from 2012 to 2022. You can see the peak is in 2015. That's the huge fire, and then we also see another huge fire episode in 2019. Although not as big as 2015, but still there's a lot of fires. Transboundary haze also. It reached Singapore and Malaysia. And if you look at the black bar, they are the number of court cases against small farmers. You see, it actually coincides with the fire. You see the peak here for the black bar is in 2019. That's when we had another major fire episode. So in 2019, we saw 126 small farmers being prosecuted for. I have two stories, a little bit of human stories to show you about who are behind these cases. So the first one is a small farmer from Kapuas, Central Kalimantan. His name is Layur, and now he's 94 years old. And when he was sentenced to prison back in 2019, he was 89. No, 80-ish. Sorry, my math is bad. So during the trial, based on the court record, he confessed to burning 3 hectares. But when we interviewed his daughter, she said that actually my dad burned less than a quarter of a hectare. So this brings questions about the validity of his testimony. And then his daughter also said that my father actually doesn't understand the questioning by the police, and also my father cannot actually read, so he was unable to read signs erected by the police about no burning. So he actually didn't know that this area wasn't allowed to be burned. So that's why he thought it's okay to do his usual slash and burn practice, which is also like a traditional knowledge. So yeah, he was sentenced to 6 months in prison, and that's the photo of him being accompanied by his daughter at the police station. And then the second case is Mardiono. He's right now he's 73 years old. And he was in prison for burning just a fraction of a hectare of his land in Central Kalimantan back in 2019. He was unable to read and write. This is like a common thing in the cases that we found, that some of them actually didn't know how to read and write. And based on our interview, he said that he was extorted at the district prosecutor's office. We don't know if it's true or not, but that's what he said. And then he was actually told to pay 10 million rupiah, 10 juta rupiah, in exchange for milder prison sentence, less than a year. But in actuality, he actually got a year prison sentence at the court, even though his family already sold 2,000 kilograms of rice in order to get the money. So actually his family was able to get the money, 10 million rupiah, and then his family already paid the money, 10 million rupiah, but then he still got 1 year in prison. And then the prosecutors decided to appeal the case. And then, so his prison sentence got increased to 3 years in prison. And also on top of that, he still had to pay 3 billion rupiah in fine. But thankfully, not thankfully, but he ended up spending 19 months in prison. But still higher than the original sentence, but lower than the final verdict. Billion, yes. And in exchange, I mean, if he cannot pay the money, he had to face extra time in prison. Yeah. So this is the sentencing patterns. So on average, the defendants, they spend 10.5 months in prison, and some of them actually had to spend up to 3 to 5 years in prison. Not the majority, but some of them, more than 20 people actually spend 3 to 5 years in prison. And we saw a focus on criminal penalties rather than administrative penalties. And then the conviction rate is 96%. So most of the defendants, they were actually found guilty. Like I think 197 people out of 206 farmers were found guilty. and 191 of them had to spend time in prison. So we decided to look at the laws that were used in these cases, and we found that most of them actually use penal code, KUHP, KUHP, penal code and plantation law rather than environmental law or other laws that are more specialized in indigenous practices. You know, they are more what do we call like specialists. So the prosecutors decided to use penal code and plantation law. And yeah, this is the number. So if you see, the majority of the cases use the 2015 Plantation Act, Undang-Undang Perkebunan, and also the KUHP. I guess this is the old one. Yes. Rather than the Environmental Act, Undang-Undang Perlindungan Lingkungan, and the Forestry Act, Undang-Undang Kehutanan. Which is a problem because by using these more general laws like the Plantation Act and the Penal Code, the prosecutors were able to ignore the recognition of the customary practices, the traditional knowledge of these farmers, the slash and burn practices. So that's why they were able to get the conviction, because they decided to use laws that actually don't recognize these traditional practices. And in terms of the types of soils that we found in the cases, a quarter of them, 1 in 4 cases, were actually involve pit soils. But this is probably an underestimate because some cases they don't actually mention the type of soil, so we don't know whether that's peatland or mineral soil. And this is a difference between subsistence farming and large-scale land conversion. As you all know, subsistence farming is much more confined. They're much smaller in scale, and they usually involve a lot of steps that need to be taken before you're able to do slash and burn. And whereas large-scale land conversion, it is usually legalized under our permit system, and they usually involve a lot of heavy equipments, and they are largely unprosecuted, which we will see in the next slide. Yes. So this is the latest data that I was able to get in terms of prosecution against companies for forest fire cases. So actually some companies have been prosecuted. I believe the numbers is in the dozens, like more than 20. But the problem is, although some of them have had their verdicts, legally binding verdicts, inkrah, most of them have not paid the fines. So this is based on data from 2025, the latest that I can get, which is the total number of fines that had not been collected is 21 trillion rupiah, which is very big because it is actually 28 times the number of the annual budget of the Environment Ministry. And the Environment Ministry said, they kept trying to collect these fines, all 21 trillion rupiah, but it was very difficult because the authority lies within the courts, not the ministry. And also when they try to do some actions to collect these fines, for example, when they go to these companies, to assess, to evaluate the assets, so that they can know so that they can seize the assets to collect the fines. They face resistance from the companies because sometimes the companies will use like local thugs, preman, local security to prevent the companies from entering their areas. So that's why it's very difficult for them to collect the fines, even though some of these cases already dated back all the way to like 2018 or 2019. So it's been like 5 or 6 years since the cases had already been settled in court, but still they were not able to collect the fines. Okay. So this shows systemic failure in law enforcement. This is my analysis. So even though the government had prosecuted some companies, but if you look at the numbers, it's very disproportionate. It very much so target small farmers rather than big companies. And because our investigation ended in 2022 and was published in 2023, we don't really know about the current situation. We don't really know like what is the approach that the current government is taking in terms of law enforcement against fires, which is going to be interesting if any of you want to follow this up. And that's it. That's my presentation. And yeah. My contact detail if anyone wants to have questions or story ideas. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Hans, for those important insights about the local farmers in prosecution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now take. Okay, and the next is from Mr. Muhammad Fauzi and Paul Hasantang from Yayasan Planet Indonesia. Okay. On leveraging social forestry to support community-led conservation in Gunung Naning Protection Forest. Mr. Fauzi and Mr. Paul, please.
Hi. My name is Paul, and this is Mohammed Fauzi. Fauzi is the manager for the teams working in Sintang and Sekado regencies, and I lead the social science work in Planet Indonesia. And I'm very happy to provide a bit of introduction to Planet Indonesia's overall approach and the place of social forestry within Planet Indonesia's approach before I hand over to Fauzi to give more information about the programs in Sintang and Sekado. So while the title of the workshop is about how civil society organizations can help strengthen social forestry, for Planet Indonesia, social forestry is only one of the many tools that we use to achieve our bigger vision. Because while we believe that social forestry is a good government program, we also realize that NGOs are not governments, and we think it's important that NGOs have their own visions of how they want to support communities and the role that collaborations with various stakeholders can play in that. So that is wide background. So the overall mission of Planet Indonesia is to support community-led conservation. So the sentence here is conserve at-risk ecosystems through integrated community-led governance to address socioeconomic challenges and drive conservation. So the idea is that in many contexts, not in all contexts, local communities are best placed to lead conservation efforts. And we support community-led conservation through direct implementation, so by directly working with communities throughout West Kalimantan. But we also support civil society organizations based in other provinces to work with local communities there. So we don't work directly with local communities outside of West Kalimantan, but through partnerships with NGOs that are based in those provinces. Within West Kalimantan, we work in 4 different landscapes. So the Gunung Niut Forest Complex, which is the location of Cagar Alam, a nature reserve, which is a highly restricted form of conservation, which is a very strict form of conservation, which means that social forestry has limited scope for implementation there because the official regulations don't allow social forestry within the nature reserve area. In the Kuburaya mangrove forests, we work with several social forests, but the Karimata Marine Reserve is also within a Cagar Alam Laut, so a marine nature reserve, also very strict protection, although the land area itself falls outside of the marine reserve. And finally, there's the Gunung Naning Protection Forest. So Pa Fauzi works in part of that forest, and he will tell you more about that later. But first, a little bit about the core model of Planet Indonesia. So based on consultations with many community members throughout West Kalimantan, in around 2019, we formalized a core model consisting of 4 main pillars of work. The first one of which is helping communities secure rights and access. And so the social forestry scheme is mainly part of the rights and access pillar. But we note that social forestry is not enough to help secure rights and access in all places. And also it's not the only way in which we can help communities secure rights and access. We should note, for example, that de facto, like in practice, many communities do have access to areas that are formally classified as for a state forest. But also that we can do other things like helping with rezonation of protected areas in order to allocate some areas for community use, even if it's not officially a village forest. Besides rights and access, however, Planet Indonesia also supports other aspects of community-led conservation, one of which is community-led management. So this can include things like sustainable agriculture programs, sustainable fisheries programs, community-led patrols of forests, but also helping develop adaptive natural resource plans at the community level and sometimes at the landscape level as well. The third core pillar is inclusive governance, which is based on the belief that it's not enough for local communities to have the right to manage areas or to be involved in managing those areas, but also that decision-making power needs to lie with the communities on how these areas are managed. And that often requires skills in things like reporting, planning activities, how to coordinate the implementation of activities. So in short, what we help set up can be compared as like mini NGOs at the community level who coordinate the various activities that Planet Indonesia supports in those communities. Finally, Planet Indonesia also supports regenerative livelihoods activities, which includes access to finance, savings and loans groups, but also education programs and literacy programs. So currently, Planet Indonesia works with 8 village forests throughout West Kalimantan. But note that Planet Indonesia works with over 50 community-led governance bodies, of which only 8 are village forests. So that illustrates that village forests are an important tool, but not the only way in which we try to support community-led conservation. And there's several more village forests, as well as Hutan Adat, customary forests, in the process of application at the moment. So a final note as way of introduction to the Gunung Naning forest, which Pa Fauzi will tell us more about later, is that while we work at the community level and we try to strengthen the legal basis for community conservation through the social forestry program, the long-term vision is also to set up network between the various communities living in and around this protection forest to set up integrated management plans. For example, based on biodiversity data, to set up plans for how to manage wildlife within the integrated forest area, based on the acknowledgement that a forest area is an integrated ecological unit, and the ecological dynamics are not restricted to village forest areas, which are generally only 5,000 hectares at the moment. So that by way of introduction, and I'll pass over to Fauzi.
Thank you, Pak Paul. Yeah, my name is Pauji. I'm from Aceh, but at the moment I'm working with Yayasan Planet in Indonesia. My base in not HLGN, exactly in Sintang Regency and Skadau Regency. Here I will try to share a little experience about social forestry. Yeah, this is the map of HLGN. Yeah, in North HLGN, in Sintang, Skadau, and Skadau Regency, YPI support social forestry in 5 villages. 3 villages have already received village forest permit, and 2 villages are in the process applying for customary forest permit. LDPH Temawang Bulai already they have 3,477 hectare. LDPH Pulau Tujuh 5,000 hectare. LDPH Doi Pangi 4,992 hectare. But ongoing process customary forest for Meragun village and Sungai Segak village. Yeah, environment in Hutan Lindung Gunung Naning is a tropical forest, hilly and mountainous, has many small and big rivers, and spans 200,000 hectares over several regencies like Sintang, Skadau, Melawi, and Ketapang. The case fish is in HLGN are orangutan, pangolin, porcupine, leopard, jungle cat, deer, many type of hornbill, eagle, various type of snake, and also too many pig there.
Pigs, too many.
Too many pigs. Yeah, the plant in HLGN are very diverse, such as big tree, iron tree, damar, meranti, durian, tengkawang, rapelesia, and also copse flowers. People and livelihood. The majority people living in HLGN in our area is Dayak. Dayak Adat Koncil are maintained in each sub-district. The main livelihoods are farming, gardening, hunting, livestock raising, trading, and golfing. Many of these activities take place within HLGN. Yeah, kids, women, and elder are a vulnerable group. Why social forestry? The classification of Gunung Naning as a protected forest restrict the activity of the community, which creates economic barrier. Community members have expressed a desire to get great forest access. Social forestry permits are one way of releasing this. YPI, in partnership with various government agencies, support community not just in obtaining the permit, but also in running the village body for forest management, LDPH. So capacity development, technical support, and access to finance. Yeah, for the capacity development, YFI provides training in managing organization, forest area management, and social forestry business management. Forest area management, 3 community patrol teams have been formed and conduct monthly patrol in their village forest. 10 KUPS have been formed and received permit from the KPH. Yeah, LDPH Pulau 7 received donation last year in 2025. LDPH Pulau 7 received donation of 12 pigs and 200 durian seed from Bank Pesona. Yeah. LDPH Temawang Bulai received donation of 300 agroforestry seedling from KPH Melawi. LDPH Doi Pangi received donation of 10,000 agroforestry seedling from Bapedas. Yeah, our working area is under 3 KPH, so we must coordination with KPH Melawi, KPH Skadau, and KPH Ketapang Utara in Sandai. LDPH Temawang Bulai, LDPH Doi Pangi, and LDPH Pulau 7 access finance of YFI's collective governance funds, respectively 72 million rupiah per year, 104 million rupiah per year, and 110 million rupiah per year. This budget will use for operational, capacity building, and also agroforestry. Our the challenge in our working area, yeah, LDPH administrator needs significant capacity building because many of them cannot use computer, not understand about administration, and also about accounting. 9 out of 10 KUPS choose silvopasture livestock business, which require more capital and carry higher risk than other type of business. Difficult access to the village. Yeah, because very remote area, sometimes we must across the river with motorbike, and last month I must walking because landslide. Yeah, for one area. Difficult access also affected impact for their product. Sometimes they cannot sell the product because too high operational cost to deliver product from sub village to central village. Remote location and limited facility, natural disaster, village boundary conflict, encroachment for smallholder oil palm, hunting, illegal mining, and illegal lodging. Planet Indonesia and social forestry. Sustainable forest management require community level leadership. Social forestry is neither the start point nor the end point, but useful part of a broader journey toward community-led conservation. Driving landscape also require participatory management, inclusive governance, and socio-environmental service. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fauzi and Mr. Paul, about the presentation. So, not we have 20 minutes for at third of coffee break. Okay, okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, for presentation have heard together, and so let's continue about the coffee break. Okay, coffee break and 30 minutes coffee break. Okay, we will resume this session with the last two presentations. Okay, okay. Please enjoy the coffee and snack provided. Okay. Yeah. Sebelumnya kan sebenarnya ini berubah nih ya dari jadwal yang awal di sesi ya. Oh gitu ya, Bu? Sebenarnya ini kayaknya tadi saya udah agak beda dengan yang jadwal Ibu gitu kan. Ya udah dapat. Kena tarik, kena ini, kena kodok.
Nah, itu maka saya nih mandang-mandang jadi capeknya kan agak TV di mana sekarang? Benar.
Check. We humbly ask again all the participants who are still outside, please come in because we wanna continue our presentation. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We will continue the last session for today. And same with the previous one, the moderator will be Professor Amy Roslinda. To Professor Amy Roslinda, I give the floor for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sari. Okay, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoy the break. Let's continue with our final two presentation of this session. Our next presentation will be delivered by Mrs. Widayati, I'm sorry, from Peatlands, Indonesia, who will discuss the landscape approach on peatland restoration. Mrs. Ati, the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here to present in this international workshop on Guardians of the Peatlands. So my name is Ati Widayati and I'm from Peatlands, Indonesia. I have been as a senior associate for research and for program at Peatlands, Indonesia for the past 8 years with Pak Edi Purwanto. Yeah, so a bit of background. I'm actually a generalist, so to speak. I have been busy with spatial analysis and then climate types of work and peatlands, agroforestry. Yeah, so, but anyway, today I'm going to present the kind of it's been quite an experience of Peatlands Indonesia for some years of doing the landscape approach, multi-stakeholder approach on addressing peatland issues in one of the landscape that I'm going to talk about later. And also, we have been trying to produce these efforts into a couple of publications, hopefully, to be able to share our knowledge, lesson learns, and reflections. And that is basically what I'm going to present today, to talk about today. Yeah, hopefully it can be useful for everyone. Okay, so the title of my talk will be Peatland Restoration and Fire Prevention under Multi-Stakeholder Approach. Indeed, the first title is about landscape approach, but to avoid the multiple interpretation of landscape approach, so I will just go directly with multi-stakeholder approach. So that's just for a practical reason, actually. I don't think it works. Yeah, so let me start with a bit of geographic idea. I think our colleague Nicholas Young has been talking about the background of peatland in Indonesia, so that is quite helpful for me. And so we're talking about the context of West Kalimantan and then the Ketapang Regency. So this is the map of the description of the hotspot back in 2019, and it is the background of the whole thing of my presentation today. So Kabupaten Ketapang or Ketapang Regency has been the highest, identified having the highest hotspot for, during those fire years. Yeah, so, and on the left, on the right from your side is the Regency, and as you see that the hot spot is basically quite a lot in the Peatland Hydrological Unit and in the KHG, the Peatland Hydrological PHU, and this is the landscape that I'm going to talk about. It is called Pawan Kepulu Pesaguan in the center of the Regency. I think I pushed forward, but it's the other way around. Okay, yeah. So this is the landscape, Pawan Kepulu Pesaguan. It's approximately 80,000 hectares. And 60% of it is mapped as peat from the National Mapping Agency. And the peat depth, the thickness is up to almost 10 meters, somewhere in the peat dome, while the rest is a varied depth. And this peatland hydrological unit, or the landscape, is dominated by APL, the non-forest use, and that is the first contradiction or the first conflicting issue that you can already see from my second slide. So this area has thick peat, but it is APL. And the purple one is oil palm plantation, the one on the north, and then here you have the forest, state forest land, and the rest is APL, and the peat dome is basically here right in the areas where cultivation, oil palm, and other agriculture has been quite ongoing for quite a long time, since the transmigration period back in 1970s, 1980s. So yes, because of that utilization, so it's intensively drained with canals, and it is fire prone. So a bit of overview of the approaches that in general that we have been applying. The ultimate goal is, because of those contradictions, it has to be kind of like multi-direction. So it has to be multifunctional. It cannot be directed into conserved area or protected area. It has to be to reach some sort of multifunctionalities within the whole landscape. So the ultimate goal of the whole thing is that to achieve multifunctional peatlands with reduced fire incidence. And the first modality that we adhere to since day one is that it should be by improving the governance model into multi-stakeholder approach. And even though we talk about one particular landscape, we cover it as a jurisdictional approach, as a jurisdictional scope with all stakeholders in the Regency, including the government offices and then the NGOs, oil palm companies as well, community representatives, and also national agency, in this case, Peatland Restoration Agency, until 2024. The other two technical methodologies that we applied is the Peatland Restoration Agency's 3R strategies, the rewetting, revegetation, and revitalization. And also, because we talk about peatland fire prevention, we also adopt the peatland fire management methodologies, the preparedness, response, recovery, and prevention, that cycle approach. Yeah, so let me just jump into this particular approach that we apply to promote or to go into the multifunctionalities. So for those who work with spatial analysis, this is peanuts. Yeah, this is just using map, and then we try to utilize whatever public domain maps that we have. So basically, we have the peatland ecosystem function. In Indonesia, we recognize two: the protection function and the cultivation function. And then we also utilize the fire history, the burn area since 2015 by having them verified, validated. So we use those to see the typologies, the types, the divisions of the landscape. And then with those 6 typologies, we also recognize the institutional aspects. So who are the authorities of the particular land? So the status, the land status, whether it is APL, under oil palm, or under the government, the district government, hutan desa, the village forest, and also the forest management units. So then we ended up with 12 land units. And the strategies, these are the strategies that we agreed upon together with the multi-stakeholders, that there are 4 strategies, 4 broad categories of strategies. The first one is with regards to improving the policy, capacity building, public awareness. And then the second one is the hydrological restoration. The third one is protection and the land management. This includes, this doesn't separate cultivation and protection. So, but basically, what we need to do with, with the land uses, whether it needs to be, for example, there is a proposal for protection area, or whether it can be cultivated with certain requirements, and so on and so forth. And the fourth strategy is the fire monitoring, the peatland monitoring as well. So we ended up with this typologies, types, land units, and we came up with the strategies for each of the land units. And this is what the document looks like. We call it Master Plan for Fire Prevention in the for the landscape, and it has been adopted into Regency Head Regulation, Perbub, Peraturan Bupati, which is followed by Regency Action Plan, and also, thankfully, the government is quite serious of supporting it with their budgeting system. So these villages are now continuously getting the ADD, the village fund for fire prevention. Peatland, for the monitoring of the peatlands, including early warning system, water level measurement, and other procedures that we have been also establishing together with the communities and with other stakeholders. Okay, so now back to the how. So this is what we concluded at the intermediate process, how and why this multi-stakeholder approach works. First is because of the urgency of cross-sectoral approach for a highly fire-prone peatland, which necessitates kind of innovative policy document interface. So if these people think if we have to wait for the default regulated documents like RPPEG, for example, yeah, the fire will already destroy the whole landscape. So that's why they had this initiative to work with us in, okay, what kind of planning documents that we can apply or we can develop together for this particular landscape. And then the multi-stakeholder strategies present the entry point of a new governance model in our understanding. So it creates the several attributes that, to be fair, the government itself has this type of multi-stakeholder approach in the planning. We have the, what do you call it? The village participatory approach, where stakeholders are invited up to the kabupaten and then to the planning procedure. They have that already, right?
Musrembang.
Musrembang, yes, that's the one. Yeah, Musrembang. So they have that. So we are not trying to criticize that approach, no, but it is still within the systems, right? So with regards to this, some stakeholders in the district say, hey, we need something to move quickly, and how can we do that as a collective action? So basically that's, and then we try to empower that and to make that happen. Actually, still legalization into government regulation is critical, because in the end we wanted it to be embedded in the systems, the budgeting system and all that. We consider that replicability is possible, especially for kabupaten level, where APL is dominated, where Peatland is also dominated with APL. Okay, so post-action plan reflection. So after that, we also did some small studies, basically trying to understand the multi-stakeholders' perspective or opinions on two aspects: whether there is a potential of adoption of multifunctional peatlands, and number two, whether this multi-stakeholder approach can act like a good enabling condition as part of instrument-based, information-based instruments. So we did surveys with 6 stakeholder groups: government on the forestry and environment sector, and then government on the planning and development sector, government on the disaster management, civil society organizations, OPAM companies, and communities. And So we developed these 4 simplified 4 criteria that the multifunctionalists in this particular context requires protection of areas that provide critical ecosystem functions regardless of land status. Basically, behind that language is that regardless of formal land status. And then adoption of no burning land management and humid peatland practices in agriculture, adoption of restoration approach, especially rewetting, deployment of enabling instruments, including policy, economic, and information-based instrument. Here we try to adopt the stick, carrot, and sermon, the traditional policy instruments. And multi-stakeholder forums are considered as the information-based instrument. And then for effective and workable and efficient multi-stakeholder forums, we put 5 5 core aspects that need to be fulfilled. One is the inclusiveness and participation. Second, as a space of collective learning and awareness, increasing awareness, to reduce overlaps across actors and institutions, power dynamics, balancing power dynamics, and space for negotiation. And here are the results. So this has been, this will be soon published. So basically, I don't think we should talk about the details, but basically if we look at the multifunctional requirement, multifunctional peatland requirements, these stakeholders think, okay, one by one. So there is a variety opinions in terms of fire prevention through restoration. So some stakeholders think that, yeah, I wouldn't say that they don't agree, but the restoration as a fire prevention is not something that is largely or is strongly favored by these stakeholders. But of course, there is one that favors that, but it's kind of varied opinions. And then regarding protection for critical areas, there is also varied opinions because of the land status, basically. So one will say that, well, if it is APL, it's APL. So there is, even though it is 3 meters or 10 meters thickness. Yeah, so those are, it is what it is. And then for the no burning, they basically, most of them agreed, but there is also kind of like dual perception of burning. If it is burning, then it's okay, but they do agree, or they do agree that there should not be fire like karhutla in our language, yeah. But in terms of burning, for small-scale burning, some of them will still think that there is no, basically the reason is because there is no cheap alternative for that. And then the other results that show variations across stakeholders is in terms of how they see the multi-stakeholder processes, that the other aspects are quite similarly, they approve that they are good processes, but then in terms of addressing overlaps and in terms of space for negotiation, it is not something that already in a good performance. So this will be my last two slides. So from this study, it confirms that the multi-stakeholder forum and processes play a role in promoting the collaboration, inclusion, participation, learning, and also it enables collective actions. It is also, in the case of Ketapang, it also helps the development and the implementation of innovative policy product, which is beyond the system, and it can still be continuously adopted. The major challenges, of course, addressing power balance is not as easy as that. But then they also think that even though indeed power balance is like, when we talk about rights and governance, it's the biggest, it's a biggest issue. But they still think that within this type of process, they feel secured of saying what they have to say despite the complex power relations. And then the gap filling and reducing overlaps needs higher policy interventions in the case of Indonesian government. So it is also not easily addressed through this type of approach. But it helps identifying which areas that need to be discussed internally or inherently within the government system. And the role of CSOs, it's also clear that CSOs play a central role in the multi-stakeholder processes. It is basically this type of approach needs a central role of CSOs, civil society organizations, NGOs. So it depends on how the CSOs are able to align their mission with this particular landscape. It is still independence from government bureaucracy, but then it can also work kind of like fluidly across sectors. The challenge is, of course, we know that CSOs depend on foreign aid or global funds and stuff like that. So which makes this type of approach prone for discontinuation. And also across CSOs and NGOs, there are also sometimes, the need for collaboration among themselves is also key. So it's not only about asking the government and other stakeholders to collaborate with us, but then across ourselves, the need for us to collaborate across ourselves is also a key. So I think, that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much, Ibu Emi and everyone.
Okay, big applause from Ms. Ati. Okay, thank you, Ms. Ati, for that comprehensive presentation. Our final presentation, okay, in this session will be delivered by Dr. Farah Diba from UNTAN on monitoring biodiversity on peatlands based on Ulin Rajut to strengthen the social forestry program. Okay, Dr. Farah Diba, please.
Okay, thank you Ibu Prof. Emi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, baca. Okay, my name is Farah. I'm from Forestry Faculty, and today we want to share about these tools that may be useful for other CSO to use for the monitoring of biodiversity in the village. And this program is with our team in Tanjung Pura University, from me, Farah Diba, and Pak Marwanto, Pak Sofwan Anwari, Pak Kiki Priyo Utomo, and Pak Novi Sapriyadi. So the name of the app is Ulin Rajut. Actually, Ulin Rajut in bahasa Indonesia is consists of pengumpulan informasi masyarakat berkelanjutan. So we make it into Ulin Rajut as a for concise the term. Okay, and the background of this, lanjut Bang. Background of this program is that we know that in peatland and sustainable development, the peatland is a critical ecosystem for biodiversity and climate, and this also, if we strong make community involvement, so this community also will be make a sustainable development in the peatland. Okay, then. We also know that in the biodiversity in peatland is related to human well-being. Like many presentation today related to how we can make a stronger in the community based on the like non-timber forest product or other products. Then the community itself can use as a livelihood, but before they can use it, they have to know what is the biodiversity inside the forest that they will manage. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I think it's better like this one. Yeah. So, yeah.
Itu deh.
Okay, yeah, and also for the social forestry also related to SDG or social sustainable development goals, and on this role, we are as academician, we make some study that there is a challenge in the community to how they can manage the biodiversity in the peatland, and because the limited biodiversity data at the community level, then also low monitoring capacity and technical access, and also the weak linkage between local action and global targets. And so that's we make a digital innovation for the sustainable development, and it's very easy because we can use this by Android, that we can use our handphone to make monitoring of the biodiversity, and we use it because to supporting the evidence base on the decision making for the activity in the peatland. And this is the Ulin Rajut app. So you can see also in our website, this is pautanuntan.co.id, yeah. And there is some apps that you can download and you can use it. And there is some also guidance how to use these apps for the biodiversity monitoring of the peatland biodiversity. Bisa diklik nggak bagian bawahnya? Okay, so this is the program. We use it in the village around the National Park of Danau Sentarum, and we use it also in the Bagan Asam village, this in Sanggau Regency, and we have training people not only from the student but also the old people how to use it as long as they can use handphone, so they can use these apps for the monitoring of the biodiversity. And this not only in like Android but in Apple also you can use these apps for the monitoring of the biodiversity. And how to using this program, after download then you can make a photo of the plant, of the fauna also. Then there is also will be a GPS tagging, where is the location of this flora and fauna, and then we can add information about the local name of the flora and fauna, and it will be go to our server in Tanjung Pura University. Then we can make verified what is the scientific name and what is the useful of this plant and this fauna. Is it the category in CITES like less endangered or not, and then after that we can publish in the website of forestry faculty. So maybe you can see in our website now to see the gallery of the Ulin Rajut. There's many plant, many fauna also which has been published by the local community and have been verified by the forestry faculty staff. Okay, next. Okay, this is the benefit of the Ulin Rajut. The first one is user-friendly and community-led observation. So the local people doing this and they can manage whether 1 year later they still found that plant or that fauna or not. And also this will be simplifying for ecological monitoring and enable communities as biodiversity data. And the second one, this also as the key of biodiversity, because it will be strengthening cultural ecological connection, because it's very easy to use these apps and everybody can use it, and they also will, the data will be stored in our university, and we can also have a data of like a wildlife present and the habitat condition, and we can make monitor like for the next year, next 2 years, is it any changes because of the land changes or not in the around of the village. And this is some sample in our websites. Formerly we call it citizen science, and now we call it like Ulin Rajut. And as you can see here, there's a name of the person who makes a photo and the date of the taking photo, and in the site is the what is the local name, the scientific name, and what the useful of each plant, and we make verified on this. So local people only mention about the local name, and then our staff here verified from that the characterized morphology of the plant and the fauna, what is the scientific name and what is useful and others. Okay, then the third one, the benefit of this Udin Rajut is the strengthening community capacity, because it will be improve the ecological literacy, and also because it's directly from the field. Some people make a field observation and digital data, as long as any signal, so it can be transferred. Yeah, so sometimes the problem is the signal. Sometimes in the village there is no signal, so they cannot transfer it to our website. But when we go to like in Bagan Asam, we use Starlink. We bring Starlink there, don't say, so they can share directly to our server easily. And the fourth benefit is the contribution to local communities and social forestry, because this data, especially on like non-timber forest product, what is the plant, and also what is the fauna which should be covered and protected in the area, will be maintained with this application, and it will support the social forestry governance, because we know that what should we do in the village that will strongly to help and enhance the community capacity. And the last one is this also as early detection of ecosystem degradation, and strengthen peatland conservation effort and incentive-based conservation opportunities. So if we talk about carbon, so this data will be useful to counting that how many will be the saving of this forest village from the biodiversity, from flora and fauna by this data with Ulin Rajut. And as a conclusion, the Ulin Rajut apps will be empowers the communities through digital monitoring, and also strengthening the social forestry contribute, and this app is inclusive, resilient, and sustainable peatland management. Okay, so that's thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Farah, for full presentation, and thank you to all our speakers for sharing such valuable experience and knowledge. So we move to our panel discussion. Okay, from the 6 presentations we have just heard, we have gained various perspectives on peatland forest management, from watershed protection in Batanghari, Batanghari ya Pak? Ya, Batanghari, law enforcement challenges, community-based forest conservation approach, and landscape restoration to biodiversity monitoring. So I invite all speakers and the panel to have discussion. And for audience, this is your opportunity to ask questions, share experience, and provide comments about the presentation. Okay. For those who would like to ask question or comment, please state your name and institution. Who would like first? Okay, please.
Thanks, Prof. Amy, for this opportunity. Hey, everyone. I'm Rusda from Alam Sehat Lestari, ASRI in short. So I would like to ask question to Pak Rudi from Warsi. Izin Pak, nanya Pak ya. So thanks for the explanation. Your presentation was very impressive. I'm so impressed with the explanation of the program that you have with Warsi, especially around the Batanghari River Basin. And I think it's quite similar with the program that we try to carry out in Sempurna village in Ketapang Regency for the community who lives around the big river. I forgot the name actually, it could be Sungai Sempurna. Yeah, it's quite similar with something, the presentation you have explained to us. And in the area, I and my team at ASI try to kind of help the community to deal with the flooding, forest fire, etc., especially with the flooding. Yeah, but sometimes it's quite challenging because the flooding is so bad for the community. Some of them have built a stilt house or stage house, but sometimes the water level is above the their house floor, so it's actually it's challenging. We try to work together with the stakeholders in that area, with the related dinas in Kabupaten Regency, with the with other NGOs as well. But yeah, unfortunately, it's quite challenging, and we still try to figure out how the best way to help the community live there, especially with the impact of the flooding in Sempurna, in Sungai Sempurna. I remember that last year we also tried to implement assessment using tools named PACDR, Participatory Assessment for Climate and Disaster Risk. And yeah, we got a lot of information, ideas, and expectation from the communities. Some of them, I mean, the requests from communities out of our expertise. So that's become a challenge as well, because our expertise is related to the livelihood, especially agriculture, yeah, etc. When you mentioned that people around the Batanghari, along the Batanghari River Basin, they don't call the flooding as disaster. They recognize it as air naik, air turun. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. It's really, yeah, I mean, I'm impressed with that condition, because the community saw resilience regarding the flooding. And you also mentioned that Warsi is carrying out some approaches like restoration and other approach, especially in upstream area. Once again, correct me if I'm mistaken, but what I got from your presentation is WASRI's approach is mostly conducted in around the upstream area. So I was wondering what is happening in the downstream area. Did you find any expectation from the community in downstream area, or yeah, what's happening there? How big the impact for the people who lives in downstream area? Even you mentioned that they have once again still silt house or stage house, but how about the livelihood? And yeah, once again, what's the approach that you have with Warsi team? Is it the same with the approach that you try to carry out in upstream area, or maybe it could be different? And if yes, what's the approach? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question, Mr. Rudy. Would you yeah, like to respond to this?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, mostly we facilitate the social forestry in the upstream area in the village, mostly. And mostly the local wisdom, local traditional knowledge is exists in the upstream area. That's different in the downstream, in the lowland, because Batanghari River Basin is from the Bukit Barisan to the Malacca Strait. the water is from the Bukit Barisan to the Malacca Strait, and in the east side of Sumatra Island is a peat swamp area, and in the middle is a lowland. And you know, on the lowland area is already gone off the area to change to the other from the forest, yeah. For the first time, they change from the forest to the oil palm plantation, after that timber plantation, and now is for the coal mining, oil mining, yeah. Mostly in the lowland level is not much limited forest existing, yeah, but only in the national park like Bukit 12 National Park and Bukit 30 National Park. But in smaller area, we also facilitate in the lowland for the social forestry. I think in around 10 village, yeah, for the village forest. But the condition is the area is not existing have a natural forest. They already changed to others. In mostly is already changed to the oil palm, but the area status is a production forest. And then why we facilitate the community to got the social forestry license is for the conflict resolution with the government. Yeah, because you know there are the government call it for them is encroachment in the forest. But when they got the license for the social forestry, they can manage, and then we facilitate them to change their area to the agroforest. Also, yeah. And the other in the peatland area is still have 4 village forests. Yeah, it's the same like the other. It's already changed to the oil palm, but the problem because the pit is quite deep, I think more than 3 meters, because the area is a protected forest under the regulation. And the pit is what we call this, miring, the sloping, yeah. The tree of oil palm is sloping. It cannot good production, and we facilitate the community change from the oil palm to the paper betel, yeah, pinang, paper betel, yeah, and mix with what we call is jelutung. Diera. Yeah, diera in Latin name diera. Mix diera is producing latex for chewing gum. Yeah, diera with paper betel and what do you call it in English? Merica. Pepper. I think 3 big commodities planted in the area is already exist by the oil palm plantation. Maybe tomorrow Riche explain about that. Yeah, but yeah, it's not much if we compare with the upstream area. Yeah, because it's already changed the area, and people come from any to the lowland. Lowland is very good for oil palm because no steep. Yeah, it's easy for manage the area, and then government give the license. And for the people who live along the Batanghari River in the lowland, the issue is still not about disaster for the flooding, because they are in the lowland. The water is only up and down, yeah, same like if the place is better in the upstream. But the problem now is about the illegal gold mining. If you look our picture, the water color is very brown, and now is not much. They can find a fish because you know in the big river, mostly Malay people living follow the big river, yeah, and in the upland is other tribe, yeah, in Batanghari. In the big river is Malay, in the upstream is Kerinci or Minang. It's a different type of culture. For the Malay, mostly they are live from the river. They are collect a fish. Yeah, it's like fisheries, the river fisheries. But after the illegal gold mining, it's quite much in the upstream area. The sedimentation is a new issue. I think the sedimentation for the people in the lowland area is a disaster if we compare with the flooding. Yeah, because they cannot get good production from the fish, freshwater river. Yeah, from mostly the Malay people do that, and we look at now they are trying to change their livelihood to now in a dry season in the riparian of the Batanghari River they plant corn because the time only around 3 months they can production, and then if have water level growing up they're already harvesting the corn. They are trying to change that because they cannot got the good production from the river to collect a fish. I think that's. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy. Does anyone else from the panel have additional perspective? Okay, please, Mr. Eddie first. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Eddie Purwanto from Peatlands, Indonesia. I will thought my question to Pak Rudi and also to Yayasan Planet Indonesia here. From Pak Rudi, I think watershed management and restoration is quite old practice in Indonesia. Since 1970s, we have already done watershed management and restoration via Ministry of Forestry by the time, or department, department under Agriculture Ministry. Yeah. But the jargon like one river bar management is already promoted by the time, but up till now it's never happened. Restoration is never happened, or the start or the manage or the invested restoration, but never restarted. Yeah, never have good impact. And Batanghari River is already flooding in 1960, 1970, 1980s. Yeah, and but what I'm surprised in the middle of the town. Yeah. One of the important law and regulation for watershed management is Presidential Number 5, 1990, about the river, how to use the river. The river must be the buffer. Big river, wide river, the buffer is 100 meter. Small river 50 meter. But in the middle of the town, there is a big mall with inside the river. This may surprise whether there is no civil society to protest, demonstrate the practice. When not happen the protest of the civil society by the time. Yeah. And the second is to Yayasan Planet Indonesia. Yeah, your mission is about community-led conservation. Yeah, how you can and I hear that you have 100 staff, 50 project in West Kalimantan, and with many kind of villages there. Yeah, how you can facilitate local community, and how long you have to facilitate them to reach community-led conservation. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pak Edi. We have several questions here. First for Rudy again, and the second about communicate engagement to Mr. Fauzi and Mr. Paul. Okay, Mr. Rudy. Please.
Yeah, it's a very famous one river, one management. Yeah, and we already facilitated the what we call it, the workshop or seminar or the technical meeting around West Sumatra provincial government with the Jambi provincial government, and they are already signed like a MOU to make a one spatial map for the Batanghari River Basin. Yeah, we already do that. We together made in agreement is we call that is a bioregion Batanghari watershed management, like that. And but yeah, it's a. I think in our government it's easier to make like agreement together to make okay, we understand we cannot do like we cannot give the license to the oil palm in the steep area and as important for the catchment, the water catchment for the river. But after the sign MOU signed with two governors, the other problem is the power isn't not from the governor. The power is from the central government. If the central government give the license for the oil palm, give the license for the timber plantation, governor cannot reject that. Yeah, for example, we have a regulation to if the company need to manage the area, they must got a recommendation letter from the governor, and after that, they use the recommendation letter to the central government to got the license from the central government. But it's like a funny other chapter in our regulation, but I don't know exactly what the chapter talk. If the governor, the company send a letter to the governor to talk, they want the recommendation letter, and governor didn't give the recommendation letter. If 3 times the company sent a letter similar like that, still didn't got a recommendation letter, and after that they can do directly to the central government. If the central government agree to give a license, they no need a recommendation letter from the governor. That's a funny. The regulation talk, the process must be from the provincial, after that to the central, but have other chapter like make a annulment, what do you call it? If you don't want to give the recommendation, the company still do directly to the central. That's other issue. And why after the 2 governors signing MOU for management the watershed, Batanghari watershed management, it's not be walking in the field, because mostly the forest cover change is the company got a license from the central directly without the recommendation from the provincial. I think it's like that. And then the jargon, one river, one management is, yeah, it's only a jargon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rudy. Okay, next, Mr. Paul or Mr. Fauzi to answer the second question from Mr. Edi.
Yeah, thank you. YPI strategies to make community lead the conservation is before community receive pilot forest permit, YPI already formed some organization in sub-village level. Yeah, the name is PUMKA, Pelayanan Usaha Masyarakat Konservasi. In PUMKA, they have many programs like agroforestry, sustainability agriculture, health, community health, also some like small corporation we call is dana ketahanan. That community can saving and also get loan in PUMKA. Also smart patrol community do that with PUMKA organization. PUMKA in HLGN, in not HLGN, is already 5 years. PUMKA. We may in 6 villages. We have 7 PUMKA now. Thank you.
Okay. The next question, Ms. Evelyn. Okay.
I also have a question for Planet Indonesia. You were talking about community-based forest management, but you said there are more pathways than only through social forestry. So I was wondering, how do people get the right to access the forest, to use the forest without being accused of encroachment when they don't get a social forestry permit? So maybe you can explain that. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Paul or Mr. Fauzi?
Yes, thank you for the question. I think there's many different ways in which we can support community management of forests and waters. For example, there's many ways of using the forest which are in fact already allowed. For example, in protected forests, people can engage in fishing activities, in hunting activities of non-protected species. But there still needs to be a system for managing the stocks of the fish and the stocks of the wildlife to avoid overexploitation, and this includes avoiding overexploitation by outside actors. And so you can help communities in setting up systems like that. In other areas where there's protected areas, you can help in rezonation efforts to allocate locations for community use or traditional use areas. Depending on the type of protection, there's like different forms of classifications that you can try to use for rezoning. For example, around Karimata and Kuburaya, we've been working a lot on rezoning efforts of marine protected areas. I think Jiva might be able to tell you more details about that. But basically, it's based on long-term fisheries data, allocating core no-take zones for for fisheries, as well as zones in which community use is allowed, while limiting the type of tools that you can use in those areas. So that's two examples. But also in many places we still struggle to find the right form of rights and access. And the social forestry scheme doesn't always provide the answers there. So in many cases there's negotiations that are ongoing with conservation authorities as to how can we properly acknowledge the fact that communities have often been in these areas prior to the classification as a conservation area. And so things that like the Torah Agrarian Reform Program and kind of redrawing of the boundaries of protected areas are things that we try to work on, but it's politically very difficult. Maybe briefly on the question of, so Fauzi gave an answer on kind of how do we support community-led conservation. Maybe the second part of the question from Pa Edi on how long do you need to provide the support to create the enabling conditions for community-led conservation until it's done. And I think the honest answer is that we do not know yet. I think like in most of the villages where we work, we find relics of previous development projects, previous conservation programs that have ended, but not in a sustainable manner. So we find like, production houses for making all kinds of non-timber forest-based products that are out of use. And kind of we hear stories about this time when people came and kind of tried to set up groups that then ended when the project ended. So we try to take the opposite approach and say we commit to supporting these communities until we are together convinced that this is a sustainable group. But it is a bit of a challenge as well. And we're currently trying to set up, we've been trying for several years to develop tools to describe pathways towards kind of the independence of a governance group. And we are still working on developing those tools. And so hopefully we'll have clearer updates in the future. But I think the core message is that we're trying to kind of do it the other way around. Rather than saying now, we're going to achieve this in 7 years, we're saying we are going to work hard on trying to achieve this, and then we'll find out how long it takes. I think there's not many examples of places where this has actually been done already. And so that's the journey we're still on.
Okay. Let's move to our next question. Any question? Okay, please.
So my question arose from the presentation of Ibu Atik. I hope I pronounced it right. My name is Pim, by the way. I do my internship at Tropenbos, Indonesia. And my question is about civil society funding in general, and then also your point raises that question as well. Because at least I know for Tropenbos, Indonesia, a lot of funding comes from the Tropenbos International Network, which is based in the Netherlands. And unfortunately, in recent governments, they have really slashed funding to such projects. So my first part of the question is, how do you, as Tropenbos Indonesia, deal with that? I had an interesting conversation outside before, which I heard like sustainable enterprises or national funding, but then an additional question like, how do you maintain your position as independent facilitator in multi-stakeholder projects? And then also, I don't know enough about Planet Indonesia, but that I think also relates to your position on projects without an explicit end date, how you will be able to finance such projects and maybe keep on taking more projects. I don't know for sure. Thank you.
Okay, the first question for Ms. Sati and the second Planet Indonesia too. The Planet Indonesia is.
Yeah, I think with regards to the facilitation of such multi-stakeholder forums, it is also key that we bring along the local NGOs along with us. So when I say that it depends on external funds or global funds, it doesn't literally means that yeah, it should stop because the biggest organization has no funding anymore. But I think through the time, the engagement with local NGOs is key. And as the case of, as our case, we of course we partner with some local NGOs, and the forum itself is led by a local NGO, so to speak. So then it depends on how the dynamics within some NGOs deal with it, right? So of course the best practice is that someone will take over when certain NGO is out. So it doesn't mean that one NGO is out, then it's over. But what I was saying is that the NGOs, whoever it is kind of crucial, because without NGOs, the government will deal with their own. Of course, there is a multi-stakeholder platform in their planning system, like earlier mentioned. But this type of approach will be a bit different without the role of any NGO CSO in that respect. That's what I was referring to, basically. Yeah, with regard to Tropenbos, yeah, well, we have to look for more funding. Thank you.
Eddie will add the question, the answer. No, okay. Means from the YPI.
Yeah. So on the question, how can you fund programs without a clear endpoint? I think I worry about this, but luckily we have a great team that works on these matters, and one of them is here, Jiva. So maybe I can give the microphone to her.
It's like it will be too painful for you guys if I speak with the microphone. Yeah, so I've only joined. But so when you have like impact to show, and when you do really good evaluation, then you have support, right? And then we don't pitch, we need you for 3 years. They always ask, what about after that? We said, we have device support, you know what I mean, funding. So it means it will continue, but just with the other funders. So we do have like a bunch of long-term funders, less unrestricted than we would like, but we do have enough to sort of overlap and be supported, and we would always fundraise. We have a strategy for a couple of years ahead. Like right now we have to end of 27, but we already have some funds secured for 2008. So sort of that's how you approach. We don't like to take projects that are just funding that's just for 1 year, and we don't like we would sort of like also be quite selective at this point because we can afford to be, which if you're smaller maybe you don't have this chance, right? But we really go deep dive into impacts for communities and for the forests, for natural areas, because you're working with it as well, and that's what we're pitching. And then we can say, let's say, within the first 3 years of partnering with the new community, all the illegal activities will drop at least 30%. And we have proof that that has happened for all our sites. Or if we say, okay, now we're like in the next the work, but the work is still being protected at the same level as when we are working there. So it's like, it's maybe like quite abstract goal it sounds, but actually if you have communities well prepared and they can manage the finances by themselves and they have a good governance system, it actually, we believe it can function. And maybe like to add to the how to really make it community led, you really from the start have to do the FGDs and support in a way that they are forced to be taking the leading positions. And they are interested. They are interested to do that because then they get the sense of ownership and agency, right? Even when we do like this initial scoping and we do like questionnaires and questions be like, do you feel you can change something in your community so your generations later will have a better life or the forest will be protected? More often the answer is no. But when they say you think that the community can, if they stand together, then they feel it can. So that's sort of something we love, right? And the way we work with a relatively small team and like a lot of communities, we would have field facilitators about 2 weeks per month with the communities every single month. But they are there to facilitate when there's like either conflict or there's like they want to learn something new, they would bring in our technical team to train them in how you do financial management, how you do this and that. And then they're trialing it. And when they get the sense of ownership, they're interested, right? Initially, maybe there's some doubt, and then it gets better. But obviously, it's not always perfect like that, right? You have like internal struggles, you have people who withdraw or something, right? But yeah, we've seen on the long term that it works. Maybe too realistic, Bob? No? You want to add something? No? Okay. That's for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have time for. Okay, Mas Sujan.
Just another topic, another question, because I think it's a very interesting discussion. Blew my mind away. Very much impressed in what you said. Community cooperation. Very different. Your farm. Reflect. Overcome it? What is the role of the media in it? And how can civil society organizations like gather here do to address this very unfair situation?
Okay, Mr. Hans, Ari, the mic.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan, for the question. I will try to answer that as much as I can. I think what needs to be done is first increase the transparency from the government. Like for example, when you're talking about the court cases against small farmers, we are only able to come up with a number after we did the investigation, right? So I think by being transparent about the law enforcement in fire cases, like the number of companies that have been sued by the government, I think that will that is the first step that needs to be taken in order to evaluate the effectiveness, the efficacy of this process. Because otherwise, it's going to be so easy to just say that, oh, because we have been cracking down on these small farmers, then we are able to curb fires during fire season. Whereas it's not that clear, the linkage between the high number of farmers that have been prosecuted with the decreasing scale of fires. Although like there's one study by C4 by Pak Heri, I think, if I'm not mistaken, which found that some communities were actually deterred from these practices, slash and burn practices, because of the increasing crackdown on small farmers. But again, I think there's still ways before we can safely conclude that there's actually a correlation between this law enforcement against small farmers and the decreasing number of fires. And also, one more thing, even if the government claimed that the fire have been decreasing, we have to take into account weather effects, like the lack of El Nino, for example. And also, if I'm not mistaken, in 2023, the fire actually increased again. It's more than 1 million hectares, 1.1 million hectares, the size of burn areas. Even though it's still smaller than 2019 and 2015, but it's still a significant number of fires. Partly because there's El Nino at that time, but also it raises questions about the effectiveness of law enforcement. So I think, again, being transparent and I would say more studies on this topic so that you can come up with like a baseline of like what are the policies that are that are effective in reducing fires. Is it actually law enforcement against small farmers or not? And like in general, stronger protection of small farmers' rights, stronger tenurial rights, more recognition of small farmers' rights, basic things.
Okay. Any other question? We have one more question. Okay. I think enough. Oh, okay. 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 All right. It's enough for discussion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of session 2 on forest management. Thank you to all speakers and participants who have actively participated in today's discussion. Okay, maybe I have some note about our discussion. From today's presentation, I have some conclusion. There are 3 interconnected, I think, yeah, 3 interconnecting themes have emerged. The first is social matters, I think, whether it's watershed protection, landscape restoration, or integrated area development. We have learned that peatland management cannot be done in isolation. Okay, the second is the implementation challenges. We have policies, we have social forestry program, but the gap between rules and reality remains significant, requiring stronger enforcement and addressing the underlying drivers of destruction. And the third is community empowerment works. When indigenous peoples and local communities are given secure tenure rights, appropriate tools and technical support, they can be effective guardians of peatlands. Maybe just a little note from me. So thank you for the discussion, and this evening we will continue our dinner in Kapuas River. So I call the MC. Thank you for this discussion. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please give attention. So, maybe because Prof. Amy mentioned dinner and then already hungry. Okay, we will have time about 15 minutes for all the people who wanna go solat. and then we will go to the with bus to have the dinner at 5:15. Thank you.
Ibu pakai motor kok juga tuh?